Biggest day in Philly sports history for August 26, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Happy back to school if you're going back to school today. I know a lot of districts in the area are going back. Some went back last week. The rest of them are going back on next Tuesday. But happy back to school. If you're a teacher or someone who works in education, shout out to you. You guys are always close to my heart as somebody who works in education as well. So shout out to all that you do. And it's the official last week of summer. That means football is around the corner. And for me, Labor Day is kind of one of those holidays to me where it's just, I couldn't care less. It's just get me through the football season, get me through to the cool weather. I'm sick of walking outside and sweating, all that other good stuff. It was a tease last week with the weather. The humidity is coming back. So you know what? Turn that calendar to September. Summer is over. It is time to get into football. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont, Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and be sure to spread the word. Let's grow this thing. We're heading into year 3. Let's continue to grow. Lots of good things on the horizon. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and spread the word. All right, the Phillies. Another offensive explosion yesterday, 11-3. They kept the pressure on Kansas City the entire game, which is a good team. Like, don't sleep on the fact that, it's just the Royals. But no, the Royals are a playoff team who are battling for a division title. And I think the takeaway from not so much, I guess, Saturday because JT knocked in 6 of the runs with 2 home runs. But yesterday they did it with only 1 home run by Castellanos. So they're actually, quote unquote, which I hate this, manufacturing runs. And to me, a home run manufactures a run too. They're just doing it. They're not relying on home runs now all of a sudden, which heading into September, that is going to be huge. Heading into these 2 big series coming up at home is going to be huge. So I'm not ready to say they're back. I'm not going to do it yet. Colby Allard was solid. Bullpen was good again. And we had a Stubbs sighting. And maybe all of this, believing it and trying to achieve it, is paying off. Stubbs went 4 for 4. Was in line to hit for the cycle and then got hit by a pitch from a position player. Like, he actually had a legitimate shot to hit this for the cycle off a guy that was throwing batting practice and then got hit. But could it be? I'm not quite ready to say they're back, but they're playing differently. They're seeing pitches. It's almost like they've changed their approach. Maybe Kevin Long is actually doing his job for fear that he was going to get fired. But if we can believe it, we can achieve it. Garrett Stubbs, I'm telling you, picture him with the Budweiser box on his head and the overalls, singing Dancing on My Own. We're going to say it every time until it doesn't work anymore. But the starters have been great. Every starter, the pitching-wise, every starter on the team yesterday had a hit. There's a lot of good balance. It's almost like something clicked out in Kansas City. Hopefully they can bring that now home to Citizens Bank Park. Big series. They're 3-3 so far in that 13-game stretch that we said was so pivotal. 7 games coming up. They have to go minimum 4-3 over the next 7 games. Preferably 8-5 or 8-5. 7 games. That's impossible. Preferably go 4 or 5-2 would be great, especially with the Braves, who did lose yesterday. So that somehow, through all of the whatever the Phillies have been doing, that lead is at 6. They're in good shape, especially with 4 coming up this week against the Braves. If they can win even 2 out of 4 of them, that'll be great. It's not going to be an easy week. However, the way they're playing, I'm feeling more confident. I had a sense of confidence in that game yesterday, even with Colby on the mound, that I hadn't had in a while. So maybe the page is starting to turn. The calendar's turning to September. Maybe they figured it out. Wheeler's on the mound tonight against Houston. Milwaukee lost yesterday, so Phillies officially have a 1-game lead over them, but with the tiebreaker currently, I think they still have 3 more games against them, but with the tiebreaker, it's essentially a 2-game lead. Dodgers won, so they're still 2 games back of the first seed. All of it's in play. All of it's on the table. But are they back? I'm not quite ready to go there yet. I feel like it's bit us in the ass a couple times when we tried to say that. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and see how this next 7 days play out. But things are looking up, I would say, for the Phils. But let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531 will get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Are the Phillies back? Let me know your thoughts. Vent. Tell me what I'm missing, or tell me I'm crazy. But I like the fact that they're quote-unquote manufacturing runs, because I think it's a dumb saying. I think there's a better way, I think, to say what they're doing, because a home run manufactures the same amount of runs as a RBI single. But it's just the way they're doing it. It seems their approach is different, so we will take it. Be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast, doing good things for baseball. Football returns this week. I'll be recording something with them for baseball this week. I'll keep you posted on when that comes out, and that's available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to phillygoat.com. It's back to school sign. They have all of their Eagles stuff out. Time to gear up. The season is, 11 days away, I think, or something like that. We are close. It is right there, and I can see the Friday night lights down in Brazil. So go to Philly Goat, get your gear, get your kids ready for the season, get them ready for school, and then use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. And buy some Phil stuff too. Some of the stuff featuring John Kruk, 10% of the proceeds will go to benefit the Battle Brothers Foundations, who do great things for our vets. So go to Philly Goat, check it out, and use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. All right, the Union lost. Lost. I mean, it was a 2-2 tie and then lost on penalty kicks is what I was going to say. To Colorado, ended up 4th place in the Leagues Cup. They're not going to the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but that's all right. They head back to Subaru Park on Wednesday to start back their MLS schedule. They're currently in 10th place, only a point out of the wild card. So playoff push is on for the Union, who hopefully the experience and figuring some things out and got kind of hot there in the Leagues Cup. Hopefully that carries over to MLS play, but they're back in action on Wednesday, but there will be no 3rd place trophy for the Union. All right, today we're going to go back to 2008. And on this day in 2008, Phillies beat the Mets 8-7 in 13 innings. But this was a wild one down at Citizens Bank Park. They were down 7-0, battled back. Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard both hit home runs. Cole Hamels and Brett Myers both pinch hit in this game. Chris Coste entered the game in the 8th inning as a pinch hitter. Went 4 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Let that sink in for a minute. 4 for 4, entered the game in the 8th inning, and still played a big part in that. But the win did put the Phillies up a half a game on the Mets in the standings for first place. I think a lot of times we often forget that that team kind of struggled there down the stretch, and it got a little nerve-wracking there in September. They were in first place for all of June, most of July, and the first half of August, but then they kind of went on a little bit of a slump. The Mets happened to be surging as well, and August 26th was the last time they were in first place until September 16th. This team was 3.5 games out on September 10th. So it's something, and I put all of those stats in there to sort of make sure that we're kind of keeping what the Phillies are doing now in perspective. It is certainly a marathon, not a sprint, and is good. Everybody remembers how great that 2008 team was, and everybody loves them and all of that. But they struggled in September, and I completely we block it out because they won, but they were 3.5 games out on September 10th. So they had to chase down the Mets, albeit a little bit shorter and easier of a chase down than the year before. But they chased down the Mets 2 years in a row. So kind of keep that and put that into perspective. You can go either way with this Phillies team. They're up 6. Even if that lead shrinks a little bit, they're going to be okay. So just like I said, a little bit of perspective here on a Monday. But on this day, back in 2008, Phils beat the Mets 8-7 in 13 innings, battled back from a 7-0 deficit. Chris Coste went 4 for 4 from the 8th inning on with a double and an RBI. And the Phillies did get back into first place, although temporarily they were back. They lost the next night, and then they were back up on August 26th, and then did not retake first place until September 16th. But they did end up holding on to the lead from September 16th on. So again, put that in perspective. It's not doom and gloom with what's going on with the Phillies, and I have to remind myself that I'm not sitting here lecturing you. I kind of forget that sometimes as well. But all that happened on this day in 2008. All right, we continue our 20 questions about the Eagles in 20 days. Yesterday we talked about the backup tight end position, and 55% of you do think that the backup tight end could be an issue. And I'm curious to know if I could ask a follow-up question to some of the people who said, no, it's not a problem. Is that because you're expecting Dallas Goedert to be healthy and that good? Or do you think because of the weapons, we're not going to need it? I'd be curious to know. So if you voted no on that and you're listening, hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 and let me know what you're thinking about the backup tight end. All right, today we're going to look at the new kickoff rule. And for those of you who are not aware, I had to actually kind of look up some of the details of this myself because even watching preseason games, it was still confusing. Essentially, the takeaways are the kickoff team cannot move until the ball is kicked. So prior to the kick, the only person that can move is the kicker. The return team can't move until the ball is in the setup zone, which is between the 30 and the 35-yard line. I don't know if they're going to call penalties if guys move early. That kind of still remains to be seen, some of those details. And then the landing zone is essentially the red zone. The landing zone is from the 20 to the goal line. And if the ball lands in the landing zone, it must be returned. So no more fair catches where you get the ball out at the 35. If it does not hit the landing zone, so if the kicker kicks it and it doesn't hit the landing zone, it's a penalty, essentially the same as if you kick the kickoff out of bounds. You can have 2 returners maximum back. I did see on Saturday the Eagles, I forget who was next to Paris Campbell, but they ran into each other. So the Eagles do need to kind of work on that. They can move however they want, kind of fake things out. And if there's a touchback, it goes out to the 30-yard line instead of the 25 or the 20, whatever it was before. Onside kick are the other changes. It can only be done in the fourth quarter if you're losing, and you have to let the other team know, which is the dumbest thing ever. I did touch on that. But as far as the rules for the kickoff, I don't think anybody really knows what they are, what's going to happen. So what does this mean for the Eagles? Honestly, nobody knows. You didn't see much in the preseason because I don't know if all the talk anyway is that a lot of the special teams coaches are going to have some tricks and there's some ways that they can see chances to maximize this. So you didn't really see much, very much like the offense is very vanilla. But I really don't know. For the Eagles, Paris Campbell, Isaiah Rodgers, and Kenneth Gainwell are listed as the kickoff returners on the depth chart. That's probably likely to change because I don't see Paris Campbell making it past tomorrow at 4 on the team, especially now that Jahan Dotson is there. I don't know. It's the great unknown. I don't know if it's going to be a weapon that teams could use. a way to pick up and get some field position. We could see some explosive plays. I did see a lot during the Eagles preseason anyway, and even some of the other preseason games I was watching. There still was a decent amount of kicks going into the end zone. I don't know if as a kickoff team you want the guys to return it. So if guys are going to be trying to kick it into the end zone, so much remains to be seen. And I was listening. We never did make it down to the Eagles game on Saturday. Traffic was just absolutely insane. Didn't move from the zoo to Montgomery Drive for probably about 25 minutes. So we decided to just bag it and go to the pool. But listening to the beginning of the game, Mike Quick did not seem to be a big fan of the new kickoff rule. Merle's like, I don't think we're going to know what it's like until probably week 5 or 6. So if that's what Merle's saying, I kind of think the same thing. I don't think we saw what teams are going to be doing in the regular season. So is that going to be a benefit to the Eagles? Is it going to be something that they can use to help set up the offense? That all remains to be seen. I guess, I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. I don't know if I'm like, yeah, new kickoff rule, woohoo. But what are your thoughts? Are you excited for the new kickoff rule? Do you think it's good? Do you think they should have just left it the same? There's a camp of people out there who said you should have just gotten rid of the kickoff completely, just line everybody up at the 25 or the 20 and go from there. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. I do think you need some sort of kickoff. But is this the answer? Let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Answer that and get anything else Philly sports related off your chest. But are you a fan of the new kickoff rule? Is it to be determined? I really don't know what to expect. I know Isaiah Rodgers, Kenneth Gainwell, and as of right now, Paris Campbell are listed as the Eagles returners. I don't know if Britt Covey is going to get a shot there. Quinyon Mitchell, possibly. It's a crapshoot. I know a lot of the special teams coaches have been scheming for this, so they have some ideas, but we won't know until Thursday night when the Chiefs and Ravens play. But, I mean, like I said, I'm intrigued. I can't say I'm excited about it. I didn't understand it in the XFL either when I tried to watch some of that to get an idea because it's very similar to that kickoff rule. But here we are. It could be something that helps the Eagles. Could be something that hurts. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts on the new kickoff rule and whether or not you think it's going to benefit the Eagles as we get ready for the season. And just a quick note, tomorrow at 4 is when the deadline for teams to make their final roster cuts. I'm sure we're going to start seeing a bunch of names come out today. And this is where Howie, excuse me, this is where Howie checks that clearance racks and finds some good deals for the team this year. Don't be surprised if there's an offensive lineman, maybe a safety or something in the works with Howie. But that is tomorrow at 4. On this day in 2008, Phils beat the Mets 8-7 in 13 innings after falling behind 7-0. Chris Coste went 4 for 4 after the 8th inning when he came into the game. Phils temporarily took over first place, but it wasn't until September 16th that they started their run and marched toward the playoffs and winning their second straight division. Can they do the same this year? Can they just kind of go on a roll? Are they back? Let me know what you think about that. I'm hesitant to say, but I will say the approach looks different. They look more relaxed. Maybe because it's close to September and this is typically when they start getting hot, something's clicked in them. That still remains to be seen. But 7 tough games here coming up between the Astros and Braves. Got to win at 4 of them. At least 4 you have to win. In order to make everybody, I think, feel comfortable as we go into September. But let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. If you're going back to school today, enjoy. Make sure you allow yourself some extra time for traffic as the buses will be out. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 26, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.